Ayato is just a week away from being released in Genshin Impact. At first, a lot of top-tier meta team nowadays need a Hydro character. Taser team, Vaporize team, or Freezing team are all top-tier meta archetype team that require you have to got Hydro characters, so you know what time it is. Ayato pre-release analysis time, but of course as always don't forget to subscribe for the channel, and let's get started. Unfortunately, we do not know the ICD on Ayato elemental skill and burst. Most importantly to note is that for Ayato item elemental skills he cannot use charge attack. He's limited to doing normal attack, as well as the fact that his elemental burst might have standard ICD similar to Ganyu, which mean one every free hit. Combining these two, it means that Ayato might not actually apply that much Hydro, especially when we're comparing something to Xiangling, so it means that the chances of Ayato being to enable Xiangling may not actually that high, even if you combine both his elemental skill and his element burst, not to mention his elemental skill only lasts for 6 seconds, which means the chances of Ayato working on Xiangling is unfortunately not very high. Of course we don't actually know if it worked or not, we'll have to do in-game testing to see how the ICD is. Maybe his elemental burst will have no ICD, and then we'll work out, who knows. The reason why Childe can enable for Xiangling is because his Riptide applied a lot of Hydro, which of course Ayato does not have, not to mention that Childe can do charge attack, while Ayato actually cannot do charge attack at all, and if you recall, charge attack have a separate ICD than normal attack, which means that charge apply a lot more Hydro than Ayato would, so this is the reason why Ayato cannot be exactly compared to Childe, because the amount of Hydro they apply is most likely going to be really different, and it's hard for us to tell if it's gonna work for a Vaporized team. A lot of people have high hopes for Ayato because his elemental burst will look exactly like Ganyu except in Hydro form. Problem here is that if you already running Ganyu and Venti, their chances of you doing enough damage with just Ganyu quadratic scaling is honestly enough. There's honestly not a lot of reason to put another quadratic scaling on top, because you already enough damage just from Ganyu's elemental burst alone, so even though it is true that Ayato could contribute to more damage with potentially another quadratic scaling, it is honestly not actually necessary when you already own Ganyu. The bigger problem is actually energy. Ayato have a 80 cost element burst while his elemental skill required him to take the field to actually generate energy, which is a huge problem. In the past, if you look at every single Freeze team, all the Hydro characters were fully deployable, and never ever spent a single second on the field. Mona cast EQ and leave, Kokomi Cassie and leave. Her elemental burst requires her to be on the field, and that's why you never use it. The only use case for Kokomi elemental burst in a Freezing team is to just refresh your elemental skill, because there's absolutely no time to put your Kokomi onto the field. If you carefully observe, Kokomi and Mona elemental skills are deployable, and the reason why this is a huge deal is because element skill is how you generate energy, specifically speaking Hydro energy. When both Kokomi and Mona elemental skill are deployable, it means that both of those characters is able to generate Hydro energy while they are off field. And this is of course not the case for Ayato with Ayato's 80 elemental cost burst, and the fact that you cannot generate any Hydro energy off field, he's gonna have an insane amount of energy issues. You thought running 200 energy recharge Mona was bad, now welcome to 300 energy recharge Ayato, and when you build that much energy recharge you're not going to be doing any damage. This is the big problem of putting Ayato into a Freezing team. It's just he doesn't really actually contribute anything. Carefully observe how both Mona and Kokomi can provide a good amount of utility. For Mona, that is the 60% damage increase on Omen effect, and for Kokomi that is of course the healing that she can provide. Now Ayato does have some utility, and that is 18% normal attack damage buff, which you don't use at all in Freezing team. When you're talking about stuff like Ayaka elemental burst, and Ganyu charge attack, you don't care about that utility at all, so he pretty much provides nothing. But with Mona and Kokomi being Catalyst users, it means that they both can carry thrilling tales of the Dragon Slayer, which is 48% attack increase for your main crowd characters, and that's a lot. The good news for Ayato is that free Steam is not completely dead. There is still the concept of on-field hydro characters. Like we used Ayato with a few cryo characters such as Rosaria to provide a freeze reaction, and to be honest it was pretty strong. So potentially you can replicate something like that with Ayato as well. For a taser type team, Ayato has really promising potential because he can attack really fast to proc C6 Fischl as well as Beto Elemental Burst. Using a Hydro character in a taser team is not entirely a new concept. When we first created the taser team there were used Childe and Ayato's places, and to be honest it is pretty much the exact same team, but actually, we currently gacha a character not simply because it is strong or weak, although knowing that the role of Ayato can still be replaced by Childe or Xingqiu, but you simply don't want to use those anymore. You want to use Ayato because of the way he draws his sword. Anyway, this is just a pre-analysis video. Maybe until it's released everything will be amazing. Those are all my thoughts on Ayato, and here comes the end of the video. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment thinking, and subscribe, and I'll see you all next time.